Yeah, I got you. All right.
Yes, there we go.
Back in
Character really not that hard. It's just hard. You know what I mean? No, I don't.
No.
Damn. All right, here we go. Are you ready?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Cinematics, a brand new channel where we are going to be discussing film, television, actors, pretty much anything related to entertainment. On this very first episode, we are going to be honoring the loss of the legendary Kevin Conroy, the man who took the voice of Batman and defined it for everybody to come. Pretty much became the definitive voice of Batman, most people's favorite version. When I ever think about Batman's voice, he's the first one to pop into our brain. So we are very sad about this loss, but we are going to be honoring his legacy and everything that he brought to the table today in this discussion. I'm going to turn it over to John Mark right next to me, talk about a little bit of the history of Kevin Conroy and his background, and just give us some brief information on him.
Well, first of all, I want to say, Sam, you actually crushed that intro. Congratulations. After doing multiple takes of that, yeah, I think that was great. While Justin just sits there awkwardly.
Amen.
I love it. So yeah, guys, I mean, sad news. We just got this news literally this week, and it actually hit me a lot, actually. He is my Batman. He's always been my Batman. So we wanted to do our first podcast episode to tribute the late Kevin Conroy. But just kind of some brief history of him. He graduated from Juilliard. He was a theater actor. He didn't really take off. From what he said in multiple interviews, he just never really took off. Great voice, great performance, but you know, acting is a very hard industry. But apparently he heard a casting call was going on from his agent about this new Batman show. And since he needed a job and whatnot, he was like, yeah, I'll do it. But the thing is that he wasn't actually a Batman fan. Like from what he says, he only knew it from the 1966, the Adam West.
That's what he said he was picturing when he went into it.
Exactly.
And he got something completely different with the writing, and he was like,
Yes.
oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, you know, all the cast and director, head gurus of the DC animated team, they were really, really passionate about this new show about Batman, and they came to him as like, no, it's gotta be like this, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be operatic. So when they told him that, Conroy was like, okay,
Going right up this alley of theater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me bring my theater presence into it. And once he did his audition, the cast and director, they were all stunned. They're like, you did amazing. This is great. But what's funny though is that he, at first, after doing that audition, they were all silent. And he's like, oh, well, I'm done. I'm not being Batman. This audition was horrible. But when they came out, they're like, you were great. This is amazing. This is fantastic.
Actually blown away.
And he's like, okay. And you know, the rest is history, man. He became Batman. I don't know for sure about it, but I have a feeling that his audition was the great line. I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman. And that line was from, I think it was from the first Scarecrow episode, actually. When he's poisoned by the fear toxin and he's having the visions of his dad and everything, saying, you're a disgrace. And then he says that line where it's like, you are not my father. I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman. That when he says that, it's like, oh, the music, it's phenomenal, man.
Almost becoming like, was that around before that episode at all? That entire like 3-part saying, was that in anything of the comics? No, that was just from the animated.
Everybody that was working on this show, not only was the show ahead of its time, but they were ahead of the time. The writing and everything from Paul Dini and Bruce Timm's writing, they also directed some of the episodes too, some of the best episodes as well. They were just fantastic.
And that was 1992 that aired, and you look at anything that was coming before that in terms of action and animation. I mean, you had some good stuff in the 80s, but then, you know, you had like Ninja Turtles, Transformers, but then going into what Batman was, I'm pretty sure X-Men, Spider-Man, all those great 90s superhero shows are all because of the animated series.
Oh, easily.
If I'm not mistaken, they all came after.
What hasn't been said about the animated series? The thing about it, though, you have to realize is that nothing like this was being made at the time.
No.
Even with shows that came out after, this was a dark show. I mean, it was made for kids, but I feel like, I mean, kind of, yes, it was. And there were some there was some more campy episodes, but for the most part, it was proper high drama. It's phenomenal. Most shows are just kind of like, they were all the, bright colors and goofy episodes. Some of the shows, I love the animated Spider-Man show.
Yeah.
But if you notice, like, the cops and all of them, they would shoot lasers because they were not allowed to actually use proper guns. So like, all right, well, let's make it kind of futuristic. And of course, that takes me out of it. With Batman, with the animated series, that was grounded. For those who don't know, what really made this show stand out was the radical approach of drawing on just plain black paper.
I did not know that.
That's why the show looks how it is. It's very dark and using a lot of shadows. No other show was doing that at the time, if at all. So it gave it this unique approach. And plus, too, I mean, the first 3 volumes of the animated series, to me, are the best. Like, I love Volume 4 of the animated series, but that was when they were starting to, do the more streamlined look and the more modern look, which I love. But I love the first 3 volumes because of the fluid motion of the animation and whatnot. And it was also a tribute to the Fleischer cartoons, the Superman Fleischer cartoons.
Oh, no, that's fantastic.
Which I love, the 1930s aesthetic. I love that stuff.
The thing that's great, it feels like with anything regarding the superhero genre, you always kind of start with Superman, laying a groundwork, but then everything just takes off with Batman. You have the Superman movie, then you have the old cartoons, both setting kind of a groundwork for this can be a real thing. Then obviously you get Batman 89, followed by the animated series, completely transforming the whole genre in those last few years.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you guys think about the villains in the show? I mean,
should we just get it out of the way right now?
Yeah.
And not get it out of the way, but Mark Hamill.
I mean, yes. That's the thing. I mean,
that's a whole episode for itself.
Exactly. I mean, you can't. That's the thing, though, is you can't really talk about Kevin Conroy's Batman and the animated series without talking about Mark Hamill's Joker. Obviously, I think the best Joker ever. His voice is amazing. The fact that Luke Skywalker himself, I think people still can't realize fathom that Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker's the Joker.
And he did what they both did for the character is, I mean, you have a few people out there who are doing the Joker a little bit different, but so many of the actors are just mimicking Mark Hamill.
Right.
Mimicking because now when you see this character, you are hearing Kevin Conroy. If I'm looking at a comic and I'm reading it, I'm 100% reading it as
same.
I am the Knight.
Exactly. Right. That was good. I like that.
And the same thing though, always Mark Hamill's Joker. If it's printed, that is the voice. And
I agree.
The crazy thing is these characters were around since, I mean, Batman 1939, and then you got Joker popping up in I think the first issue of Batman's actual standalone comics with Robin both appearing in that comic. But what's crazy is, so for so many years, they go through all these different voices. You know, I mean, you have obviously Cesar Romero and Adam West providing theirs, so that kind of was the voice for a while. But then they would change as the shows went on in those weird animated 70s. Right. The ones from the 70s. But then all of a sudden you get to these guys who don't do something based on those characters at all.
Right.
I mean,
radically different, and all of a sudden this is what Batman sounds like, this is what the Joker sounds like, and it's completely because of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. I agree. What's great about it, and what's great about Conroy's performance, I think you guys can agree, is that, you know, Bruce Wayne is the central character in every episode, or almost every episode, and what Conroy is able to bring out is the humanity. You see him dealing with trauma. You see him dealing with being Batman, having to save Gotham. There are episodes where he truly does want to help his rogues gallery of villains, but you know, they're so far gone that you can only do so much, but he has to just continue to move forward, and I just love that. He really brought up the humanity of Bruce. And then I love too, if you notice, Conroy is still Conroy as far as his voice, but when he is Batman, it's deeper. It's definitely different.
And you know, with it being based off of I mean, it wasn't based off of, but it was definitely following in suit of what Burton was doing.
The aesthetic of the animated series is definitely heavy on what Burton was doing for the first two Batman films with Keaton, for sure. They took that and they redefined it and sculpted it and made it their own
thing entirely. And you would think that most shows, like let's say you did like the Ghostbusters show or something, you know, you're basing these characters' voices off of the actors who preceded. With the animated series, you'd think that they'd kind of try to go for a Keaton type thing.
Right,
and just make it easy, this is what the character is, but then obviously completely 100% different.
Well, yeah, and another thing too is, I mean, to the series, which that is literally one of the best intros ever. When the opening happens, you have the music and it's tilting down and whatnot, like just the darkness. You know exactly what it is. Don't you love that, like, with this show, you know how like most kid shows, they would always have the title coming in or whatnot. You didn't have this. The title just coming in
at the end with
you knew what it was.
Lightning flash.
Exactly. You know what it is. You're in for it. It's Batman. Have your popcorn ready, your drinks, and just chill. Like that's what I love about that. But they had the connective tissue from Burton's films when Danny Elfman, he actually was brought in to do the opening intro music. But in my opinion, Shirley Walker, she's the one that really defined Conroy's Batman as far as a theme and the music. Like each episode felt like an actual film. The music is amazing.
What would you say, if everyone had to pick right now, favorite performance from Conroy in the animated series? Not counting any of these right here, but just focusing on the animated series.
Oh man, man, there's so many. There's one episode, I think it's called I Am the Night. Literally I Am the Night, and it's literally Batman questioning, why am I doing this? In the Batcave, sitting on the chair, head like this, and it's like after so many years of doing this, he actually starts to question. It's like, why am I doing this? And you have Alfred, you have Dick Grayson, they're like trying to get through to him, but Gotham is still the way it is. The humanity level of that episode, I think that really showed Conroy's flexibility. That's the one that I would say is like the best one. I mean, another one is Perchance to Dream, which was Conroy's favorite episode. I mean, he's playing 3 different characters in that. I mean, he even plays Thomas Wayne as Bruce's dad. He plays a young Bruce Wayne and even the doppelganger Batman as well. Spoilers for you if you haven't seen Perchance to Dream.
Spoilers ahead of all this.
Yes, but I recommend watching it. That's all I'll say with that. It's a great episode.
Justin seen it yet?
You haven't seen it yet. Oh, yeah. Well, when you do, you know, watch it. You won't just be disappointed.
I'm halfway through what I think is volume 1 right now, and so I can't pick a favorite episode out of the entire series, but right now, my favorite episodes probably have to be the 2-parter with Freeze, and then the 2-parter with Two-Face, and honestly, the Clayface episode.
Oh yeah, Fate of Clay.
That one,
yes.
I thought about when you mentioned him trying to help his rogues gallery, because that one specifically, he was like deeply hurt that he couldn't help. I forgot his name. Clayface. I forgot the guy's name, but he was trying to help him throughout the entire episode, get him back to normal, and he just did not want it. And you could see the hurt that Bruce felt when he just couldn't help him completely. So,
and Ron Perlman crushes that performance as Clayface, man. If you, I mean, Hellboy himself, you know, literally coming in there and just kicking ass right there. I mean, that's just amazing. Oh, sorry, I don't know if we're cussing or not. Cursing, excuse me, but
I didn't even know that was Ron Perlman, honestly.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, there's actually a lot of great character actors that are in the animated series as well. You have to watch some of them, but what I love is an episode called Beware the Grey Ghost, which is literally Adam West's Batman coming in. So you have 2 versions of Batman.
I've never seen that one. What is Adam West?
I just watched that one about a month ago, and that shocked me.
Did they bring
the Grey Ghost?
Did they bring in West?
Yeah. The Grey Ghost.
No way.
The Grey Ghost is Adam West plays an actor who played this character, the superhero called the Grey Ghost. It was like a 1920s, 1930s serial, and Bruce watched it as a kid. And Bruce, it actually had the inspiration came from the Grey Ghost. So you have a little bit of this nostalgia from Batman. He's a fan. And also, what I love too is that like it does kind of talk a little bit about what Adam West was going through with the whole struggling actor, the typecast and whatnot. Like it's a great memoir for Adam West's career. And it's a great episode. I recommend it, man. You gotta watch it.
Mega shout out to the amazing and incredible Adam West.
Oh yes. Another Batman that unfortunately left us, but his legacy lives on though, for sure.
Adam West.
Yeah. I remember watching that one, and it gave me a lot of the Shadow. The Shadow vibes, and
I've never seen it, but that's what I was picturing.
And either Mask of Zorro or Legend of Zorro. They
classic
both,
Hollywood
felt
feel.
like that because you had the inspiration behind both of those, and then it was like kind of how in Batman Begins you see that he was watching Zorro in the theater.
Yeah.
And then this was his inspiration version of it. So
it's very interesting because like in the comics, maybe had a little bit of an inspiration for him watching Zorro and whatever. But then it's funny how the animated series team was the DC team was like, hey, no, we're gonna create our own character for this.
That's awesome.
And that's great. I mean, that's the thing. They were just so it was a team that I think. Well, I don't think we'll ever see again.
What was the name of that episode?
Beware the Great Ghost. Yeah, definitely watch. I gotta hear your opinion on that. I think you're gonna love it. I think it'll be probably one of your best episodes.
Yeah,
one of your favorite actually. That's the animated series, but I mean we're not done with it though, because what's great about this series is that they continued with other shows that were still in that continuity. And what's great is that don't fix what's not broken. They brought Conroy in as Batman for the other shows, like Batman Beyond, which I still think was ahead of its time. And people don't talk about Batman Beyond as much as I think they should. But Conroy is great in that. The DC team still was on board with that. You have also Justice League, which in my opinion is a gold standard for hero team up and characterization, because like each character in there has an episode to shine and really bring out their characters, and they're larger than life and they're just great. And Conroy is still amazing as Batman in that.
Steals the show.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, like whenever he's in there I'm like, oh, I'm focusing on Batman. And the connective tissue is so strong and unbreakable. I mean, literally the last episode of Justice League Unlimited is kind of a Batman Beyond episode, but also an animated series episode too, because they tie up and end their version of Batman, their version of Bruce. And I love that. Love that continuity. During the height of the animated series run, they did a, I think, highly regarded film, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which I think is the best Batman movie ever made. Fight me on it, I don't care. That film is phenomenal.
Stay tuned, because we are going to be fighting him on it.
I mean, that's gonna happen already, yeah.
It is 100% the greatest animated Batman movie.
And that's really when Kevin Conroy really was able to shine too, because each episode is a little under 25 minutes or less. So like this is a full-length feature film. That's another thing that people don't understand, is that like that was a feature film, it was only an hour and 17 minutes. A theatrical release, and no one saw it, but now it's kind of gotten that praise back. But I think it needs more praise, because Conroy's great in it. Everybody's great in that film, man. The Joker's awesome in it too. The Phantasm, what a great villain. I love that. I would love to see more of the Phantasm, honestly. But for that film, fantastic.
And John had always been hyping up Mask of the Phantasm as the greatest Batman movie.
Yes.
And then I had my own opinion about that, and so did Justin.
Yep.
But we all watched it. First time I watched it, I was like, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. Second time, I was like, oh no, this is awesome.
Became a believer.
And then the last time that we watched it, which wasn't that long ago, I was just like, okay, wow, yeah, no, this is perfect. There's like really not anything wrong with this movie.
That's the thing. It really isn't. Like I could pick major flaws from tons of all the Batman films, even the best ones I could pick at. But like the Mask of the Phantasm, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's tight. It's a tight hour and 17-minute film, and most films have to do 2+ hours to do that. So that's the strength, and like I said, that's the strength of the DC animated team. They crushed it.
That's the scene where he's like begging.
That's one of the
Not
best.
to-
That's one of the best
So
Conroy.
good.
All right, that's one of the best Conroy performances. We've talked about that. Like that's Bruce just sitting there pleading to his parents' grave.
I mean,
saying, I actually don't want to do this anymore. I might actually have a chance at a good life. But of course, destiny. That film is about destiny.
I mean,
and unfortunately, just how tragic he is, that he will be Batman. He's destined to be the Dark Knight.
it feels like the animated equivalent, and I know it was semi-based off of it, but of Batman Begins. It feels like the animated equivalent.
Gosh, yes,
but
yes.
I love something that we can get the thesis of why he's doing this, and
Yes.
that movie is just entirely about that.
It was the first film that actually really delve into his early life as well. Like,
89 didn't
people,
touch it.
You know, people don't realize that, like, 89, sure, it had the flashback of when his parents were killed.
Never dance with the devil in the
Pale moonlight. Love that. Oh, iconic line.
Brown kid.
But that's a great. Going on a tangent, but the person who plays, the actor who plays young Jack Nicholson is so uncanny. It's amazing.
It's just like
he could. I mean, I love Jack Nicholson, but he probably could have killed it as well as a Joker.
a young Joker.
Oh, it would have been
His
fantastic.
smile when he,
It is so Jack Nicholson and unbelievable.
But no, Phantasm is the first, and that's the first time we see the origin in the animated universe
Origin in general.
ever.
Like before Begins, you know how Begins, you see him putting on the hockey mask, the suit.
Definitely
like,
from Phantasm.
Yeah,
when he
it's
jumps through the
definitely
window.
Phantasm. The animated team really were the first to really bring that about, and I respect the hell out of that film.
Not to mention last thing about just this, but
Yeah.
oh man, the fact that we get the Joker.
Oh, I
Or we
know.
get that hint of who this Joker was.
Yes, I love
And
that.
Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it too is that, like, I think Joker's origin should be a mystery, but at least with Mark Hamill's Joker, yes, you have him loosely being kind of like maybe he was a gangster, but it still was in mystery. So like
You just see that smile.
you just see that smile. You see him just in the background with the other mob bosses. But whatever happened to him, literally just one bad day and boom. That's what I love about that.
Yep.
So then you have other films like Sub-Zero, which was fantastic. Probably one of the best Mr. Freeze stories as well. You have Mystery of the Batwoman. You have a couple others that were fantastic, that were still connected to the DC
Return of the Joker.
shows. Yeah, Return of the Joker as well, which I think is amazing. And that's a great memoir to Mark Hamill's Joker, because that is the last, technically the last of that Joker as well.
of that version of
That version, exactly. I mean, he pops up in the Justice League show as well, which he's fantastic in. But that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But then of course, yeah.
What was I saying?
but then of course, you have other films that Conroy did as well, like Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. I think that film is great. A lot of these DC animated films, they're like, all right, we're not gonna recast Batman. We're not gonna recast Conroy. We're gonna bring him in. And every time I rewatch some of these films, I'm like, oh yes, Conroy's in it. Good, because I don't mind the other voice actors that are currently doing it now. But you just can't beat Conroy, man. I mean, you pretty much said it there with, like, whenever you're gonna read a Batman comic or whatever, you think of Conroy's voice. That's what I think, anyways. Like he's Batman. I don't know how many times I've said that already. But I think we can all agree the man was Batman.
Mark Hamill, didn't he say, like, whenever they'd ask him to do a role, he'd be like, is Kevin doing it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing too. What's great about from what you were saying as well is technically the last Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy film that they did together was The Killing Joke. Which, controversy aside and whatnot, I think it was great to have Conroy and Hamill in there together.
Yeah, we shouldn't give away the ending, but the ending is phenomenal.
It is. The ending of that comic is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's so much left to interpretation that it's like, holy crap. That's a great comic. I mean, we could even go into, that could be another episode, just trying to, what comics actually, like, are held as the greatest. I got a plethora, and I just love, I love so many, there's so many great stories. That's the thing about Batman, is that he can transcend. There's so many different ways to interpret him. There's so many different ways to tell his story. So many different things that you can do. You can put him in a period piece, in a futuristic, even a Western if you want to. Like, you can do crazy things with him. You can't do that with a lot of other superheroes or not other heroes.
Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, that's a great concept. The film is actually pretty good. I have to read that comic because I heard the comic is great. That is a great Elseworld story right there, where he's like the London period, like the 1800s or whatever, and he's less tech and he's more of a detective like Sherlock Holmes. That's a great concept. They even did an anime film, Batman Ninja. He could even be in an anime. Not to mention too, Conroy actually voiced Batman in that awesome anime called Batman Gotham Knight. And that was like 6 to 7 10-minute shorts from different anime directors. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They brought in Conroy to voice Batman for every single one. And thank God they did, because he's great. After that, we can kind of go into the games. I mean, he was also in the Arkham games.
When you said the versatility of Batman in genres, but we have to transcending genres. Batman himself also transcends all media.
Yeah.
Comics, film, games,
comics, film,
animation,
animation, music, toys, anything you think about, Batman's touched it and has literally crushed the game.
Oh man.
I mean, even when you think about movie themes and scores, Batman's themes are always mentioned, whether it's Begins or Burton. But the games specifically, Arkham Asylum, I ended up playing that one last, but Arkham Asylum broke the internet, technically. When that game came out, it blew everyone's minds. And then Arkham City, regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. And then you have Arkham Knight, which I think is the greatest game of all time. But either way, Conroy voiced Batman in all 3 games.
Oh yeah.
Regardless, and Mark Hamill did Joker in all 3 Arkham games.
Yes, he did.
And the dynamic between them two still worked. It was still amazing. I think the stories of all 3 of those games were phenomenal. Sometimes even better than most animated movies or other movies.
Almost like they had 3 movies right there.
That's what it is. It's a trilogy. And I remember, I mean, I'm sure anyone has tried to play the game, but spoiler alert for Arkham Knight, one of my favorite things that Conroy ended up doing with Mark Hamill was at the end of Arkham Knight, Batman in Arkham City got infected with Joker's blood. And so he had he pretty much had Joker inside of him.
Right.
Which is similar to other stuff that is pulled from like comics and stuff. But the way it was executed, and at the end you're playing as Batman, as Conroy. You are Conroy as Batman. And you have the Joker right in front of you, and you're fighting the fact of, am I him? How can I stop him, but how can I stop myself from literally being him as well?
Wow, okay, that's pretty cool.
And there's a point where you end up fighting a bunch of versions of yourself, and you don't know which one's which.
That's awesome.
But then
that is pretty cool. Wow.
Once you beat the last one, he says the iconic line, and it sent chills down my spine when I was playing that. He literally grabs the Joker and he says, I am,
really?
I don't want to mess it up, but I am
yeah.
vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman. And once he does that, puts him in a lock and chain, and he's officially Batman again. Like, he fought through
that is pretty
fear
cool. Wow.
toxin and Joker's blood and everything.
Was that the second game?
No, that was Arkham Knight. That's the end of the trilogy.
Oh, that is okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That right there just solidified that as one of my favorite forms of media ever, and it has Conroy in it.
What's great about that is about those games is that it's just another awesome universe that brought honestly the best of all the Batman content and really molded it into one. Like there's tons of elements of the Tim Burton Batman films, even the Joel Schumacher films as well. Some of the villains are kind of like the henchmen are outlandish, like Schumacher's. It's some of the Nolan influence as well, and like the modern Batman stuff. Like I just love that series as well is able to bring the best of both worlds from everything into one, pretty much.
Amazing job.
It's some of the best stuff ever made.
Oh, yeah. And so we might as well get into the CW crossover. Conroy actually playing Bruce, aka Batman, in live action. He was only in it for a brief moment.
Did not see it.
No,
You didn't see it?
You
Oh,
gotta
okay.
watch it on YouTube or something.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, he plays the Kingdom Come Batman. Bruce is literally in this suit of armor. It was kind of a nice homage to that. And even Brandon Routh plays Kingdom Come Superman,
Which was amazing.
which is great.
wow.
Brandon Routh comes back to play Superman,
That's awesome.
which is cool. Which you have two Supermen in that actually. You have Tyler Hoechlin's Superman from the CW, and then you have Brandon Routh as that.
Who was
Superman.
incredibly underrated.
Oh, 100%. That's another topic.
He has his own
Yes.
video.
Oh yeah.
Which after he did the CW thing, everyone was petitioning for him to do a series.
Oh yeah.
And then also
Please do it.
two
Please.
Supermen in that universe, but then there was also technically Burton's Batman.
Yeah, because they have
yeah.
to reference.
You see Knox.
Yeah, it's true. That was great. That was good to watch. And you even see Burt Ward as Robin.
Yeah.
Technically, like that's really.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't see that either.
Yeah.
They
Earth
literally
66,
brought
right?
everything's technically connected now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is cool.
So he plays like
Even the
Robin.
Titans. Even the Titans show.
Titans show.
I forgot
Titans in
about
that as well. It's just like, what in the world is going on here? It's just it's bananas. It's
Now
literally
that's a
insane.
multiverse of madness.
It's a oh, very nice. We're DC here, though, mofo. No. It was a nice thing to watch. Honestly, it was a
He
great.
says the exact same thing Ben Affleck's Batman said in BVS.
Yeah.
Why
I
would you say
thought it was no.
Yeah, he plays. Yeah, he definitely plays a much more cynical Bruce Batman because he hangs up the cape. A little bit of spoilers, but after his altercation with Superman, just made him completely senile and very cynical. But it was great. It was great to have him play Bruce / Batman. We never really seen the man behind the voice, so it was cool to have him in there.
And with that, he is a live action Batman.
Yeah, technically.
And a rabbit trail, Mark Hamill technically played a live action Joker on The Flash. It was the trickster.
Yeah. I've seen that.
So
Yeah.
they both got their shot. Coming from theater acting to voice acting Batman and finally actually getting to like show him on screen live
Sure.
action is insane.
Sure, he definitely has a presence for sure, man. His lasting legacy, it will never fade away. He was such a down-to-earth human being. He cared about his fans. I mean, I've even seen videos of people just kind of, hey, can you give me a shout out or whatever? And he puts on the Batman voice. It's a death that's heard around the world. He will always be Batman. His legacy will live on.
His legacy will live on. We hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of Cinematics. A lot more coming your way. A lot more Batman content because we're all Batman freaks
We're
here.
all nerds.
We're all nerds, that's the truth. But please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video and whatever else this is going to be going on. We're really figuring it out right now.
Yes.
But we'll catch you guys next time.
Good. I think that was great. Congratulations, boys. This is the first one.
I spoke about five
Team huddle. Here we go. And break. It's the corniest thing I ever did in my life.
Oh wow, my pants are really high right now.